you weaken your currency. Once you have weakened your currency and removed all the subsidies, then they come and buy your enterprises. And once they buy the enterprise, they know the government is not subsidizing anyone, then they can charge any money. And that's what you have seen with Umeme in Uganda. And I was shocked to learn that Umeme had done an agreement with the government of Uganda, signed by traitors, treacherous men and women who represented the Ugandan government. And that in that agreement, I am yet to see, don't take my word for it, go and find out. What I'm giving you here is not written in stone. But I'm told that in the agreement that Umeme signed with the Ugandan government, they said if Umeme withdraws from the country, the government will pay them. If the government cancels their contract, the government will compensate them. And that if Umeme is forced to leave the country because of an unseen circumstances, what they call force majeure or act of God, the government will still pay them. That is why, although the parliamentarians agreed that Umeme should vacate Uganda, Umeme is still here because of the agreement that some of our traitors signed with this company. Some of these traitors are, government ministers, who go and in your name sign off what the country has. Like they signed off Barclays Bank, they signed off, Stanbic Bank, what is now Stanbic Bank, but what was Uganda Commercial Bank. They signed off most of the industries that Uganda has, and now they're starting to see that this was a con, that they were tricked by these cheats, by these tricksters, from Europe, posing at the World Bank, posing at our IMF, posing at the Inter-American Bank, and posing as really economic gurus that come in these countries, to help them. So remember, white people can never share power. And now they call us weak nations. What will make your nation strong is if you do not have to rely on anyone for funding. If you do not have to rely on anyone for clothes. If you don't have to rely on anyone for travel, for communication. If you run your country like you run your family. The family needs its own hotel. The family needs its own distribution system. The family needs its own water system, its own PR, its own clothes. So the country must be self-sufficient because war has now become the dominant future of global politics. War is the language of the world. The communication language of the world now is war. It is either economic war. It is either pharmaceutical war. It is either disease, molecular biological warfare. Like you hear all these Ebola cases happening in West Africa, and happening in Uganda, and happening in Congo, and happening in everywhere. You hear all the disease and pestilence. That is economic war. Operation make the economy scream, make the people scared. Show them they can't rely on their own resourcefulness, on their own resilience. They need somebody to help them. War is part of the global language. If you don't have the capacity to fight, if you don't have the capacity to defend yourself, if you don't have power to project, then you are called a weak nation. A weak nation. That is why our hospitals should be seen as part of the military, of a strategic establishment. Our hospitals should not just be accessible by foreigners. You will see. Time is going to come when these organizations, that is why in America, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, and the National Institute of Health are military institutions. Their leaders wear uniform. They have military ranks. And they are now the organization that are penetrating all around the world, seeking to run and to dominate ministries of health or health facilities and health institutions all around the world. They will be coming to your country. They will be asking to have offices in the Ministry of Health. They'll be asking to have offices in major hospitals and in health centers. They'll be causing all these catastrophes of Ebola and plague and anthrax and nodding disease. That is economy, that is operation make the economy scream. That is biological warfare. Then there is economic warfare. Economic warfare is where they're telling you products are not substandard. They are forcing you to take genetically modified seeds. They are forcing you, they are denying you access to the market while forcing you to open up your market so that whatever you are producing is wiped off that economy. And then you go on your knees and beg, and you are begging for help, and you are starting to use that language. So the language that is known now is a military language. The language of war. War has already come to the world. You have to think of war. You have to prepare yourself for war because war has already come to this country. You can't run away from it. All these groups that you hear invading Kenya and killing civilians, invading Somalia and killing civilians, it is a language of war that is being exported from Europe and from America. When people are tense, what will they think of? They will think of buying weapons. They will think of buying guns. They will think of buying explosives. And who produces these guns? Who produces these explosives? The same people. And then they will come and offer military assistance. And then they'll come and offer permanent military bases, and they will never leave. They don't have to invade the country to take it over. The country will invite them to take it over. Just like Nigeria has already invited America to come and take it over, to come and have military bases there and locate permanently its soldiers. Why? Because of Boko Haram. Imagine all these men, black men, claiming in the name of Islam that they have come to bring, to make Nigeria an Islamic nation, driving these brand new trucks with these huge guns, and there are thousands of them. And then you have satellites that you tell us that it can read even small print. That if you are holding a newspaper seated in Kampala, it will read what you are reading. That they can even see tire marks on that particular road to tell you what kind of car passed there. And they can't see the tire marks of Boko Haram. They can't see the millions of men or the hundreds of thousands of these men holding big guns, firing up in the air, pushing up smoke. What about taking 200 girls dressed in robes? All of them, the trail of 200 girls in a forest. You are better off missing a trail of 100 elephants, but 200 girls moving in a forest with other men with guns and trucks and motorcycles, and you can't see them. And you send special forces, and it's almost a month, and you can't see them. And you have satellites that can read a newspaper, and you can't see them. And you have satellites that can even see oil in the ground, and you can't see them. And you have satellites that you tell us can even see a man in his bed, and you can't see them. And you can pick sound. You can do an ultrasound scan and listen to the noise of a child's heartbeat inside, but you can't hear the noise of 200 girls speaking. That is false flag. You know, those girls are probably seated somewhere, you know, having coffee and tea, and, you know, Boko Haram is being given millions of dollars and saying go and cause chaos in Nigeria. Why? Because Nigeria has got oil, and Nigeria has got water. It has a water basin. The Niger Delta has fresh water, and the world will run out of fresh water in the next 17 years. By the year 2030, there will be no fresh water in the world. It will be doomsday. So, Operation Make the Economy Scream. How do you make the economy scream? You send terrorists. Where are these terrorists trained? In the School of the Americas in America. They have now changed its name. They call it the Western Hemisphere Center for Strategic Studies or something like this. But they have a school, and this school trains terrorists. It was called the School of the Americas. If you are looking for it on the internet, look for School of the Americas. It was to train terrorists, send them in a country, paralyze the country, then the leader is removed, the political system is changed, then a dictator is put in place, and they can come and take wealth and come and take these resources. The same thing that is happening in Kenya. It is the same thing that is happening in Somalia. It is the same thing that is happening in Sudan. The language of Europe and America that it is using to communicate is the language of war. And they are not interested in sharing power. So the best thing you can do, you as a black person, is to share power with yourself, amongst yourself. Empower yourself. Before you can even share power, you have to have power. Look at the instruments of power. Grow food and store grain. Agriculture is power. Ability to grow your own food using your own indigenous seeds, not genetically modified seeds. No, your own indigenous seeds. Having your own granaries, having your own capacity to store this food for a long time, and therefore you require to process juice, to add value to your agriculture. Agriculture. Adding value, innovation, and invention. You need to invent things that you require for your own particular economy. You need to make your own clothes. You need to make your own planes. You need to make your own cars. You need to make it, and don't lose confidence when you are making it. Don't lose confidence when people start laughing at you. Don't lose confidence when people say that is not possible. It is possible. We have done it before, and we can do it again. But don't be distracted by such a terms as a global village. Don't be distracted by such a terms as one word, as we are all related. No, we are not all related. Yes, we are related in the fact that black people were the first people to populate the world and gave birth to everyone. That white people came out of us as a result of genetic mutation. But right now, those children that you gave birth to, those albino mutants from the caves and hillside of Europe are seeking to dominate the world. Because when white people have power, they seek several things: domination, colonization, and subjugation. They want to enslave everyone. They want to enslave everyone, including enslaving their own people. That's why America has kept Europe almost in a state of servitude. Look at the pain and suffering they have inflicted on the people in Greece, the banks of America, the corporations of America, the pain and suffering they have inflicted on Greece, the pain and suffering they have inflicted on people in Palestine. That war that you see, Israel always invading Gaza. They're invading Gaza because Gaza has oil, and Israel needs that oil. They don't want the Arabs to exploit the oil because now they can have some money, and then they can look after their own people, because their organizations know how to look after their own people. So they want to sabotage those operations. It doesn't matter whether people in the Gaza Strip or in Gaza elect Hamas. No, in the Palestinian territory want Hamas. No, it doesn't matter. What matters is Israel, because Israel is a settler colony. It is a settler colony that was imposed in that country by America. And what is the language of Israel? The language that is replicated through the Bible is war. War and bloodshed. When you are complaining about Israel invading Palestine, Israel's story, even though the people who populate Israel now are not the original people, these came from Russia, but it is a story of war and bloodshed. How does God get the Israelis out of Egypt? By bloodshed. In fact, blood was to be smeared on the house of every Israeli, of every Hebrew, before they leave Egypt. Then they tell you that God, killed the Egyptians' firstborn. That is normal, in that story. Then they tell you God destroyed the army of Egypt. Then they tell you they killed every man, woman, and child, cat and dog in Canaan. That is the whole story. The language that they have is the language of war. And the language that we always had in Africa was the language of cooperation, was the language of harmony, was the language of interdependence, was the language of cooperative economics, was the language of invention, was the language of I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. Now, in Uganda, you also had this phenomenon that has been going around of, which I think I should comment on, of this brother, my brother Sejusa, or my brother Tinyefuza. As far as I'm concerned, Tinyefuza is holed up in London with no capacity for mounting any form of disturbance in a country that the English called Uganda. I suppose the biggest worry that the government would have to undergo is if this man dies in exile, his parents and his relatives will blame the government for it. And that will cause a lot of acrimony amongst the parents and the government because, you know, most of these are brothers and sisters. So that is it. But all these other stories of soldiers there and this man is doing something here and that is happening there, you know, that is not something that we should have. However, now that Uganda is having oil, now that Uganda is sorting itself, our enemies can always pick that option, fund that option, project that option to destabilize the country called Uganda. To destabilize the country called Uganda. So, what do we need to do for ourselves? We need to begin developing the consciousness that there is nobody out there that will bring you freedom. Freedom is an individual thing. You as a country must bring freedom from yourself. Every time I hear people talking, they're talking about our development partners. Development partners? Since when did anybody in the world, in Europe, go in another country to bring development? Since when? That never happened, and it will never happen. There will never be a single European nation, a single Anglo-American nation that will go into an African country or another country that is not white, that is not European, and seek to bring development. You need to call them what they are. Your exploitment partner. Your exploitment partner. Your colonizement partner. Colonizement, exploitment, and subjugationment. And you have to do it yourself.